Hello everyone, this is the Bronateer once again. This time not actually doing a gameplay, I'm doing something a little bit more intuitive. There was a comment on my last video, Learn to Turn Around, Blacklight, where basically I guess tutorial of building, like a build was like a guide on how to make a build and what builds should look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna be looking at both of my characters and starting with Bronateer. So first off, let me explain what Bronateer is on Blacklight. Bronateer is a speed build. Now what that means is he sacrifices health in order to run around more quickly and for longer periods of time. That's pretty much what a speed build is. Speed builds are determined. These factors, sprinting, your health, your sprinting, and your stamina, like your speed and your stamina, are determined by three things. Actually, it's determined by multiple things, but in general, it's determined by your armor. You see here that I have the Overmatch Bone Breaker. If I go to the default helmet, that slightly increases my health, but it lowers my stamina and my sprinting speed, as well as my recharge rate on my HRV. If I were to go to the helmet that I have on JBlade, this one, you see that it increases my health, but lowers my stamina and my sprinting, but increases the HRV. So basically the general gist is anything that gives you health will take away from your stamina and your movement speed. So if I go to, hold on, let me see if I can find a helmet that has less than that, if possible. See, this one has the same, but it has a lower recharge, which is why I don't use it. This helmet, actually, no. I don't think there is a helmet that has, no. Apparently there isn't. The body piece. If I go to stock, again, increases my health, but decreases my stamina and my movement speed. Which is why I go with this, because, well, it increases my movement speed. Now for the legs. If I go to that, it increases my health, gives me one. That's another thing I'm going to talk about is gear slots. This one increases health, reduces stamina and movement speed. So now, here's another bit. Gear slots. You'll notice that, say, on this one here, or on like the stock, you'll see it has, this applies for both body pieces and leg pieces. You'll see that there are two circles, and depending on the pieces of equipment, those circles will either be filled in, or in the case of this bit, or this body piece, they won't. So, generally, pieces that don't have the gear slots, pieces like this that don't have any gear slots, that are ones that reduce health, but reduce health by a lot and increase your stamina and movement speed. Let me see if I can find another one. This is the piece that I have on JBlade right now, level 36. Increases health. Yeah, you get it. You get the point. Let me see if I can find another one. No, apparently not. But so the body piece that I have right now is the most mobile, I guess you would call it. So, starting over from the beginning here. My leg armor has 2 gear slots, which lets me have the machete and the grenade. If I were to, say, go over to this one, This one has no gear slots, but increases my health by a lot. Leg pieces don't really increase your health or affect your health by that much. I mean, well, I guess in that case it does. But this one also gives me that additional gear slot. It reduces my health, lets me run faster, and gives me that additional gear slot. This one, well, I guess that one compared to stock lowers health and increases movement speed and stamina compared to stock, but compared to what I have, I don't want it. This has gear slots, increases health. This also has 2 gear slots and increases health and lowers movement speed and stamina. This one emphasizes the armor, the health again. Even though it doesn't have any gear slots, it still increases my health compared to stock. This one only has 1 gear slot, and it increases my health and surprisingly increases my stamina, but reducing my movement speed. 2 gear slots, increase in health. No gear slots, reduction in health, but increase in stamina and movement speed. And then this one, increase in health, and again, surprisingly, increase in stamina, but decrease in movement speed. And then medals are just kind of like decorational things, like there's one that you get at level 40. This is Lego one, level 40. And then there's, of course, the camos. So, which don't do anything, it's just decoration. Now for the other thing that has to do with builds. Your weapons. Weapon builds kind of play into whether or not you have a speed build or a, I guess, quote-unquote, tank build. For example, since Bronetier is a speed build, I eventually want to get him a tactical SMG. It is a fast weapon, meant to move... See, it increases my running speed up to 10. So I can move a lot faster with the TAC SM than I can with the AK. But that's a level 20 weapon. I don't have access to that. Other things that play a role in... Well, obviously the receivers play a role in how your build works. So obviously a speed build is going to have a fast weapon like the TAC SM or stock. Because stock works pretty well with anything. Yeah, stock works pretty well with anything. You're not going to put something like an LMG on a speed build. Because, yes, it does have that damage. It does have the damage per bullet. But it doesn't have... it has that decrease in movement speed, which is not very fun. Submachine gun is a good weapon for speed build because it focuses on, again, speed. It's a submachine gun. Burst fire, not so much. Combat rifle and bolt action rifle are really only for tank builds, which can actually endure sniping. Because obviously Bronetier is not built for sniping, since he only has 157 health. Heavy assault rifle, not a speed build weapon. This is a tank build weapon. Or it's a weapon for builds that have higher health, but obviously less movement speed. Max rifle, kind of a speed build weapon. TAC SM, definitely a speed build weapon. You're not going to put a speed build weapon onto a heavy build that has a lot of health. You're going to put a speed build weapon onto a speed build where it can move around and it actually has that mobility. LMG Recon, no. Bullpup Full Auto, just in general, no. Burst Fire SMG, no. AMR! Fuck no on the speed build. AMR is not a speed build weapon. Again, that is tank build. You are sitting in one spot. Speed builds are meant for moving around. Moving around and taking areas. I don't think muzzles play any part in your speed build. Muzzles for your guns going into the gun building now, muzzles affect three things. They affect damage, they affect your recoil, and they affect your spread. And in some cases, they also affect your range. So, this muzzle right here reduces the damage by 2, but improves my spread, my recoil, and my range. Whereas, let me see if I can find one. This one. I know it's not exact. You know, let me find the one that I use. This one increases damage, increases recoil. Whereas something like, actually no, this one's a good one. Increases damage, increases your spread, increases your recoil, reduces range. That's pretty much how it works. The more damage you have, the more spread you have, the more recoil you have, and the less range, the less effective range. Yeah, that's pretty much it for muzzles. Barrels mostly affect damage, but they also affect your spread and your your range, recoil, and your running speed. See, this barrel doesn't affect my damage at all, but it increases my spread, or it improves my spread, and improves my range, but reducing my run. This barrel increases damage, increases spread, reduces range, negatively affects my running. Same there, except for that one actually helps my running, increases damage, yada yada yada. This is one of those few barrels that increases damage, but also helps out with recoil and range. But it slightly affects my run speed. Let me see if I can find the one of the ones that I use. That's not it. That's not it either. Where is it? There it is. This one increases damage, increases spread, reduces range, reduces my running. This barrel slightly reduces damage, improves spread, improves range, but affects my running speed. Hi, Travis. Same thing there. Same thing there, except that one improves my running slightly. And yeah. Now on to the magazine part of gun building. Magazines. There are two different types of magazines. Obviously, there's the stock. There's the stock magazine, which has, you know, for submachine gun, assault rifle, AK-47, and I think the heavy assault rifle, 30 bullets with 120 in reserve. There are three types of magazines. This is considered a light magazine, but it doesn't actually. It's an improvement over the stock because it increases your running speed. This is a quick reload magazine, which obviously reduces the amount of time you spend reloading. You notice that whenever I fully empty a clip, it takes me about 3 seconds to fully reload. And that's when you spend every bullet in that clip. Which is why I try to reload as often as possible, so I'm not having that long reload time. Extended mags, or extended magazines, obviously increase the bullets that you have per clip, as well as your reserve ammunition. Typically the downside is it affects your running speed. And then there's ones like this, where somewhat quick reload, but also... Hi. I think your mic's broken. Before he calls back. Quick reload, but also slight increase in run speed. That's kind of like a hybrid magazine. And then we get into the fun types of magazines. Elemental ammunition. There are 5 different kinds of quote-unquote elemental ammunition. Starting off with electrical ammunition. Electrical ammunition Does reduced damage, well, it's in the description here, it does 90% base damage to normal targets, but it does additional 20% base damage to mechanical. So additional 20% base damage to hard suits, turrets, barricades, and players affected by stun, EMP, and digi effects. Also slows the rotation speed for 0.25 seconds. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for making an appearance again.
Okay.
Got a comment on my last Blacklight video asking for a guide on builds.
Build a gun, shoot shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what I'm doing right now.
What even are you?
I'm not in a game right now. I'm going over the builds. I'm in customization.
Oh, okay.
So, give me a minute and I'll come join you for a gameplay. So, that's what electrical ammunition does. Personally, I hate electrical ammunition. People that use it are not very, well, I don't want to say, I'm just going to say it. People that use electrical ammunition are stupid. Because, honestly, who's actually going to be negative? Who's going to be affected by that additional 20% damage, other than hard suits? That, and it increases your reload speed, and your, decreases your running. Explosive ammunition. I despise explosive ammunition. 80% damage, so it has minus 20% damage on per bullet, and it also jars the target's vision. Not that normal bullets don't do that already. If a target is killed with explosive ammo, it will prevent them from being revived. Basically, this is the same thing as being hit with a headshot or an explosive. If you are killed by a headshot or an explosive, you cannot be revived, and you instantly spawn as soon as you're able to after that 10 seconds. Incendiary does quote-unquote increased damage, and it's right here in the description. It does 110% total damage, 70% damage per bullet, with an additional 40 over several seconds. So in other words, let me go to my bolt action here. Bolt actions, pretty much every gun has these elemental ammunitions. Probably the most effective when it comes to incendiaries is bolt actions. Get a bolt action up to 200 damage, throw an incendiary magazine onto it, and you've got a 210 damage bolt action rifle. Which is absolutely annoying. Moving on. Toxic ammunition is absolute crap. Obscures the target's vision, deals 80% total damage to unaffected targets, and 100% total damage to targets already suffering. Half of the total damage is delivered up front, and the remaining half over several seconds. So, that's why toxic ammunition is absolutely crap. Because you can have a toxic bolt action rifle. Going back to this, toxic bolt action. You will hit that 200 damage. Actually, no. You will hit 160 with a 200 damage bolt action. If someone is already under the effects of a toxic type of effect, be that toxic ammunition or a toxic grenade, then you're now dealing your full damage, that full 200 damage plus the toxic. But someone has to be affected by the toxic first, whereas something like incendiary, you just hit them and then they're burning. And then last but not least, the magnum ammunition. Magnum ammunition basically improves your damage without affecting your spread It does affect your recoil, gives you higher recoil, more effective range, and also reduces your run speed. So, moving on. Scopes. Pretty simple. Obviously, a gun that is meant for close combat is not going to have a Give me a second here to find it. A gun meant for close range is not going to have a scope like this on it, where it is 6 times zoom. 6 times zoom on an AK-47 is just absolutely stupid. 6 times zoom on a bolt action, though, would actually make sense. I like 3 times zoom on my guns. Eventually, when I hit... what level is that? I think it's level 30 or 31. 32? 31. 31, you unlock the thermal or infrared scopes. There are 3 different infrared scopes, one with 4 times, one with 2 times, and one with 3 times. On JBlade, I like to use the 2 times on my assault rifle and my AK. Basically, weapons that are meant for mid-range combat. So, but right now, this is the scope that I have on this AK, and I love it. I also have the same scope on my machine pistol, but I'll get into that in a minute. Finally, actually no, not finally, but probably the last thing that actually has to do with building the gun itself is stocks. Stocks affect 3 things. Spread, recoil, actually no, 4 things. Spread, recoil, scope in time, and your running speed. I think they also affect reload speed, some of them do. Increases spread, but improves my running. Reduces spread, improves recoil, improves range, negatively affects running. Again, improves spread, range, recoil. You get the point. Just going through the list here. My favorite stock on JBlade is this one. Increases spread, but doesn't basically it improves my spread, basically. This is my favorite stock. I don't like this one too much because it reduces my spread in favor of recoil. Now, the last thing when it comes to building your guns that doesn't actually have to do with building the gun itself is weapon tags. Weapon tags are obviously these little things that hang off to the side of your gun, and surprisingly, they actually do something. So if I go to no tag here, you'll see that my spread is reduced and my recoil is increased. Or my spread is increased and my recoil is increased. But if I say like this one, and the weapon tags will say what they do. So like this one increases your weapon swap speed, so it makes you so you can get to that weapon faster. Increases accuracy, reduces recoil. Weapon tags aren't amazing. They only increase the stats of your gun by a small amount. Let me see if I can find one. Weapon tags do all sorts of things. They increase your ammunition. They affect your recoil, affect your spread. They affect damage. Some of them even increase your health. And I have some of those on JBlade. Let's see if I can find one of those. The Raptor tag. Come on. Where? Fucking. Oh, that was one. Slightly increases health. It doesn't tell you by how much, though. So, on to gun building again. But this time for the secondary. Obviously, the secondaries are a lot more diverse than primary weapons. Obviously, primary weapons, you have your fully automatic, your semi-automatic, and then your one, like, you know, you get the point. Starting off, light pistol, semi-automatic, stock, basically. Semi-automatic, low damage, yada yada. Heavy pistol, same thing as the light pistol, but increased damage per shot, whereas reduced ammo. Burst fire, same thing, but in burst. Revolver! My favorite. I wish I could get this permanent, but I don't have the GP. Revolver is, obviously, it's a revolver. Everyone knows what a revolver does. Shotguns! Let me actually put the shotgun on here for a moment so I can show you some things. The shotgun... There's quite a few things that affect the shotgun, but probably the biggest one is the magazine. You can have your explosive ammunition, you can have actually a clip instead of the individual shots. You can have a clip, which reduces your overall reload time. Again, clip, that's quick mag, extended plus quick mag, electrical, toxic, quick mag, incendiary. This is my favorite. The drum mag for the shotgun has 16 shots, and yeah. And then of course there's Magnum, which is not much. And of course you can throw stocks, scopes, barrels, grips. Most guns have their own custom barrels, or actually, fuck, what am I trying to say here? What am I going for here? Right, shotgun has a grip, whereas primaries do not. So getting off of this shotgun here, going back to my machine pistol, throw that back on there, despite it doesn't do anything. You'll notice there is no option for the grip here on the machine pistol. There is, however, options for muzzles, magazines, scopes. There is no weapon tag option, because you cannot put weapon tags on secondaries. So, yeah. That's the machine pistol. I do have a bolt-action loadout, but I prefer not to use it, because Bronatir is not a sniper. Like I mentioned, he is a speed build. So, if I were to put something on here, it would probably be a burst fire, as soon as I can get one of those permanent. So, give me just a minute, and I will be back, and I will show you what JBlade looks like. Okay, we're back. This time on JBlade, my almost level 40 character. We're going to look at what kind of build he is. So first off, you see that he has 224 health. His stamina and his running speed are lower than Bronatir's, but that's because he has that higher amount of health. Obviously, the helmet, the chest piece, the legs. One thing I want to mention about JBlade, he has 4 gear slots as opposed to Bronatir's 2. That's because the legs give him 2 gear slots, and then the chest piece gives him 2 gear slots. So that lets me have Tomahawk, Blackout, Prox Mine, and a grenade. Now, as for my weapons, you'll notice I have 3 loadout slots here. That's because the third one I purchased. My AK is... Basically, this is kind of what I would want to turn Bronatir's AK into. Has the base damage, but reduced spread and recoil, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go back and look. But, because JBlade is not a speed build, he's more of a hybrid build, I would say, I could easily throw a heavy assault rifle on him, or the TAC SM, or really anything. Any weapon works with JBlade. The TAC SM not so much, because it is a mobile weapon. So, secondaries. Also, you want to customize your secondaries to match your primary for each loadout. So obviously, for a secondary, on my loadout number 1, I have an AK-47 for my primary, and for my secondary, I have a breech-loaded pistol. What this does is it fires an explosive flare, or it fires a flare that, you know, explodes, and it's basically a launched sticky grenade, pretty much. You'll notice I have the ×2 scope on there and on there, because, well, those are you know, you get the point. Bolt action. I can use the bolt action on JBlade because he has the health for a sniper fight to survive one hit. And revolver, just because if I were to put a breach pistol on a bolt action loadout, that'd be just plain stupid. So revolver for something that's solid with a nice amount of damage. And again, I have the ×2 infrared on there. On here, I have the ×6. This is not infrared, but it is nice, nonetheless, to have that ×6, as opposed to the ×3 that I have on Bronetier's bolt action. And the explosive shit cannon, the AMR. Basically, this gun is one hit, one kill. I have the ×6 scope. I have this stock. There is no possible way to get the AMR down to pinpoint accuracy on spread, on aiming spread. There is just no way to do it. The lowest you can go is 0.14. Certain weapon tags, I have the cupcake here because it lets me HRV more often. Health, stamina, health, weapon swap speed. Let me try and find one that reduces recoil. You can't even do this with a weapon tag. Actually, not recoil. Spread. Wait, this one. Slightly increases your accuracy. So yeah, that brings it down like 1/100th of a degree. So, and again, the revolver, because something solid that can help me handle close threat situations. So yeah, that's my video on loadouts, on builds, quote unquote, going over both character builds as well as gun builds. So let me put it this way, there are 3 types of builds. There are speed builds, there are hybrid builds featured, well, this is a quote unquote hybrid build. He is a little slower than others, but he has the health to make up for it. And then there's builds that have tons of health. And by tons, I mean like the maximum health you can have is 250. And one of my friends actually uses that build. So that's kind of how that works. So yeah, like I just said, that's kind of how that works. I will see you next time. I'm going to go do some gameplay with Sliff real quick. So, bye.